right, Nicole, thank you. Well, the decision to put a loved one in a nursing home is a gut-wrenching one for many South Florida families, especially when you hear stories like the one in Hollywood. If you're in the process of making that tough decision, it becomes even harder now. So joining us right now to talk about this is Joe Landy from Landy and Smith. So let's get this started, Joe. This is a complex issue here. You know, we look at this, you see that 8 people have now died, and you wonder, who is responsible? Why were they left alone without any air conditioning? So if there are people out there wondering, you know, should I be putting a loved one in these facilities? What should they be on the lookout for? What questions should they be asking?
Nursing home residents are certainly one of the most vulnerable aspects of our population. So before putting a loved one in a facility, there's a multitude of issues you want to look into. First and foremost, research. Medicare.gov has a website, and it's called the Nursing Home Compare website. And a person can go onto the website and pull up a myriad of information, everything from the size of the facility to the number of beds to, most importantly, their prior history. All the deficiencies, all the citations will appear on there. I would encourage anybody thinking about putting a loved one into a nursing home to go to that website and look at those histories of citations. The more egregious and the more frequent the citations, shy away from them. Secondly, does the facility have insurance? Most people I meet in this state are absolutely shocked to learn that many of these nursing homes are nothing other than shell corporations. What I mean by that is they don't own anything.
Wow.
And they have little to no insurance. And that's how these things in Hollywood are able to happen. And because of that, they're specifically designed to maximize profits. You know how you do that? You understaff the facility and you underpay people when you put people in there that aren't qualified. And those are the facilities we see the worst possible outcomes from. What we see is simply shocking. People that are allowed to remain in their own waste until they develop skin breakdown that goes all the way down to the bone. They develop gangrene, sepsis, that goes into the system and kills them.
Wow, that's terrible.
Malnutrition and dehydration until they die. Falls that occur again and again and again until they result in a fractured hip or a brain bleed, resulting in death.
We heard from one woman who had her mother at the facility. She says she went a couple days prior to Hurricane Irma, and she noticed that they appeared to be understaffed, that there weren't enough people to care for all the elderly. So she chose to remove her mother. When there's a family member that is in place at a nursing facility and a hurricane is approaching, what's the best advice you have for those people?
First and foremost, you want to be able to check on them. You want to know that they're safe. The bigger issue, though, becomes it's a bit more complex. Does the family member have the ability to take the loved one out of the nursing home? They may not physically be set up. Some of the folks with Alzheimer's can be combative. Some can require full physical assist simply to get them out of bed. So some of these patients aren't capable of being cared for by the family members, and that's why, unfortunately, they do have to put them into a nursing home. If they can have an aide there to watch over them, that helps as well. But be there, be diligent, know what's going on, remain informed, and be part of the process.
And overall, when you look at that situation in Hollywood, what is your take on it so far from what we're learning? Obviously, a criminal investigation has been opened. Do you think there will be charges filed?
That's left to be seen, but the problem we have is this is getting a lot of press, but this isn't an isolated incident. The horrific outcomes I see every single day of the week in my practice, and it needs to stop. And the reason that it's allowed to happen is the laws of our state always seem to favor the owners of the nursing home and not those being victimized.
Unfortunately, there's not enough love for our seniors sometimes.
It sure feels that way.
It needs to, but the community needs to step up at this point as well.
In our legislature.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe Landy.
Thank you for
Great advice from Landy and Smith. Aaron, we'll send things back to you.
Great advice. We hate that we have to talk about it, but it's a big topic of conversation right now. Thank you for joining us. In every disaster, there is always a bright spot of hope.